What's up, guys? Welcome to Gwhisky. My name's Jeff. Now, this is a channel where I offer my thoughts and opinions on a specific whiskey, and if you stick around to the end, I'll be giving it a score as well. That sounds interesting? Hit subscribe down below. And with that out of the way, why don't we jump into our review? Today, we're looking at Clynelish 14. Stick around. So we're heading over to the Highlands today. We're looking at Clynelish. Clynelish, kind of an interesting distillery. They only really have the 14-year-old as a readily available standard issue release from them. Now, there is other stuff out there. You have distillers editions, you have special releases. At one point, this was part of the Flora and Fauna collection ages ago, and you can find them in IBs or independent bottles. But if you mention Clynelish to someone, 90% chance they're going to be thinking of the 14-year-old. Clynelish is kind of known for its floral, coastal, waxy profile. It is very distinctive. Now, our 14-year-old here, we don't know that much about it. Diageo doesn't tell us what kind of barrels it's matured in, but I've heard that it's a combination of sherry and bourbon barrels. Now, I don't get a big sherry touch from this one, maybe a little bit. Personally speaking, I find it to be much more bourbon forward. So Clynelish is a pretty big workhorse distillery in Diageo's portfolio. Big distillery, pretty big output. Most of what they make is going to go into blends, goes into the Johnnie Walker Gold blends, more specifically the Gold Label Reserve. Now, if you've ever had the Gold Label Reserve and you've had your Clynelish, then you will actually see a bit of a connection there. Now, coming back to our 14 here, I do like this one. I think it's a solid whiskey. It's never been a favorite of mine, but I have enjoyed it. But I should give it credit for being consistent. Now, I first had this over 10 years ago. I've come back to it several times over the years, and it's always the same stuff. It never changes. It's just the way you remember it every time you come back to it. Then again, it has been a few years since I last had a bottle of Clynelish 14, maybe 3 or 4 years. This bottle actually isn't mine. I borrowed it from a friend. Figured it was time to check up on it again, see if I still feel the same way about it. So with that said, why don't we jump into a review of this one, see what it's all about, and in the meantime, if you can kindly leave a like down below, that'd be greatly appreciated. As is often the case with Diageo, we don't have much information about this bottle. Luckily, our ABV comes in at a respectable 46%. Beyond that, no information about being chill filtered, but we can assume that it is. And thanks to European labeling laws, we do know that this is a colored whiskey. So we have 1 out of 3. So I'll show you our unnatural color there. I think as far as bottle design goes, this is okay. It's nothing great. It's nothing spectacular. It's decent. It's pretty similar to what you get with the Flora and Fauna range from Diageo, which makes sense because this was once a part of that range. Beyond that, we've got our simple cream colored label here, some semi-useless little blurbs down here, not much specs info, but of course that makes sense. For presentation, I'll give this a good maybe 2.5 out of 5. It looks all right on the shelf. Let's try our nose. So Clynelish for sure. We're starting off with those perfumey floral notes. We get honey, beeswax, citrus, salt. Also on some apricots, some orange blossom, and some fresh peaches. Very fruity, very inviting. Let's try our palate. Okay, saltier than the nose suggests, slightly drying. You do get a touch of oak in here. Fuzzy peach candy, mocha, milk chocolate, and some white pepper. Let's try our finish. Okay. Vanilla. So vanilla custard, vanilla beans, some milk chocolate in here, definitely some oak, maybe like pine wood, herbs, baking spices. We get more of those fuzzy peaches from the palate, some white pepper, and some table salt. Medium in length and quite drying. So this is good stuff. As I suspected, nothing really has changed here. Clynelish, as I mentioned earlier, is a very consistent whiskey. So same old, same notes, same texture. We're still getting that waxiness, those floral notes, that's all still there. Coming back to it this time around, I didn't really find anything too new or exciting going on. I don't really remember that fuzzy peach note, but I'm sure it was always there. Maybe it's a little bit more salty than I remember. But I'm okay with that consistency because Clynelish is a whiskey that I enjoy. It's definitely got its own unique character. Now, I mentioned those floral, waxy notes, but you've also got that coastal edge that is quite salty, quite drying. Not only that, some of those other flavors I mentioned, like vanilla beans, vanilla custard. This is the first time that I've ever noticed fuzzy peaches, that candy in there, but that was kind of cool too. So there's some fun flavors in here. Now, the Clynelish Distillery is about an hour's drive south from the Old Pulteney Distillery, and because the two are from the same region, share some similar characteristics, they're often compared. Now, I'm probably more of a Pulteney guy myself, but to be honest, that's not really a fair comparison. If you look at Pulteney, you have a whole range of whiskeys to choose from, and if you're looking at Clynelish, you basically just have the 14 and some odds and ends. And honestly speaking, it is kind of a shame that the range is so limited. I would definitely be up for trying other iterations of Clynelish. I have had a few. I've owned, of course, the 14 and the Distiller's Edition before, and I've tried a few of their IBs. Now, it's a solid distillery with a very distinctive character. I do realize that Johnnie Walker Gold label is going to eat up the bulk of what they produce, but it would be nice to see Diageo allocate some of that output towards maybe expanding the range a little bit, giving us some new expressions. Because yeah, it does feel like there's a bit of wasted potential here. There's no reason Clynelish couldn't have a full, proper lineup like Old Pulteney. For the moment, we've only got the 14, the DE, and a few special releases here and there. I think it deserves better. Anyway, I'm getting off track. Tell you what, coming back to this whiskey, my score here is going to be 84. It is a solid whiskey. Honestly, I'm not in love though. I do like it, but it's a bit of a weird situation because I keep carrying on about how unique and distinctive the profile is, and that's true. I could definitely pick out a Clynelish from a lineup of whiskeys, but at the same time, there's something a little bit generic here. It feels a little bit uninspired. Now, that might be just because I've had a lot of it, but having come back to this bottle now, I probably won't feel the need to come back to Clynelish 14 for another few years. But I am glad that my friend lent me this bottle, not because I've found anything too new or exciting, but it's just a good whiskey that you can sip casually and enjoy viscerally. It's got a very bright profile, and tell you what, if notes like fuzzy peaches and vanilla beans sound interesting to you, if you want to try a floral, waxy type of whiskey, this is going to suit you just fine. And if you've never tried it, it's definitely worth checking out at least once. I think we've got some decent value here with our Clynelish 14. It does come in at an affordable price tag. I'd say it's the upper end of entry level. Personally speaking, I might knock a few dollars or pounds off of the price, but that's just because I'm a cheapskate. Honestly, it is a pretty fair price. Part of the reason I'm not singing its praises too much is just because I have had a lot of it over the years. Now, if you've never tried it, it's definitely worth checking out. A lot of people absolutely adore this whiskey. So if my tasting notes and my description sound interesting to you, go grab a bottle. It's a unique whiskey at a reasonable price. Alright, that's it for me today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. As always, hit subscribe down below, click that little bell icon, and of course, smash the like. Now, I do want to hear from you. Have you tried Clynelish 14? What were your thoughts on it? And finally, down in the comments, let me know what you want to see me review next, and I'll keep it in mind for my upcoming videos. Bye, guys.